Hello, everyone, and welcome to the launch stream for Hearts of Ravensdale, Legend in the Mist's first campaign setting book. And technically, the first of the Hearts of Ravensdale setting books, as this official product is Hearts of Ravensdale Book 1 The Dales. I will be your master of ceremonies today, Kevin Carpenter. You may recognize me from most of the videos on the Son of Oak YouTube channel. And joining me today is the founder of Son of Oak Game Studio, Amit Moshe.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Happy to be here. Very excited to finally get this book out.
And also joining us today is the lead artist of Legend in the Mist, Alejandra Pinal. If you all love the gorgeous art in this book, here she is.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to finally be able to say this book is out there for you to enjoy, and it's really exciting.
We're all really excited to talk about this book, and honestly, that's kind of the main purpose of this stream is for us to just kind of gush over this product that we're so excited to get out for people to read, to play, to just honestly just to put it out into the world as a existing thing. It's so exciting. So, Meet, let's start this off. For those who are uninitiated, what is Legend in the Mist?
Okay, so Legend in the Mist is a rustic fantasy RPG. Really, it's a fantasy RPG that you can use for any setting with an emphasis on rustic fantasy. It is a narrative game, so it is easy to play because you have no stats, only tags, only words, and anyone can play it. You don't have to remember a lot of rules, memorize a lot of rules. The game loop is very easy. It's very basic. You roll dice and just add the number of relevant tags that you have. And yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. A lot of the elements that we've put into this game are elements from rustic fantasy, which is fantasy where you have really low level, low key fantasy characters, kind of unlikely heroes. We focus on the origin level, as we call it in the game, even though the game supports also adventure and greatness level, which is for games like adventuring or games like Game of Thrones, where you have people that can really move nations and the world. But we like to start small and focus on the origin level and see this kind of little country bumpkin or herbalist or hunter or someone that's really kind of starting from the ground up. And the game has a lot of elements that are related to that. So the might system is one of them, and the magic systems, the way of magic, where you can create different types of magical paths for your game. And we'll go on and on and on, but that's kind of Legend in the Mist in a nutshell.
I mean, this is the stream to go on and on and on. So whatever grabs your fancy, I mean, and Alejandra, like if you just want to talk about whatever's in this book, this is the stream for that. Speaking of, Amit, tell us what Hearts of Ravensdale is.
Right, so Hearts of Ravensdale. We released the digital version of Legend in the Mist in August. Now we're releasing Hearts of Ravensdale. It's the first setting book. It's the first campaign book. It includes a full campaign called Wake of the Old Ways. All of these were funded by our amazing backers on the Kickstarter that we ran. I think it's coming up to 2 years ago, and we had an amazing time with them. Hearts of Ravensdale specifically is a setting book. It describes the setting of the Dales, which is a remote mountain region where our heroes live. It has a lot of little dales. Every dale is a little different, but the Dalish people as a whole have a kind of a unified culture. It's very relaxed, very practical. There are no gods. There is no religion. They have folk beliefs. They believe in the unseen or the creatures of Twilight. So it's more like a cautionary tale vibe. But there's a lot going on in the Dales. There are cults in the woodlands, and there are creatures that are creeping in the Dales, even though the Dalish are like, nah, that's not really real. They're not sure what they believe in. There's a lot of folk magic going on, specifically a system called the Old Ways. So all of this is in this book, the description of the setting. A lot of strange creatures that have different abilities, but also different secrets that you can discover. And I mean, we'll go on over the whole book, but this book would really kind of give you everything you need to play in this rustic fantasy setting, from a lot of options for players, tons and tons of options for players of what to play and how to play it and what kind of magic to have or not. And through tons of materials for the narrator to work with, and of course the campaign itself that will just, you can just hit the ground running and start playing this campaign right now, actually.
Actually, go play it right now. Well, not right now.
Yeah,
You're
go
watching
play
the stream.
right now. Maybe we should.
I do
Yeah.
appreciate the intro pages to the campaign too, because it's the series of adventures, and there's a blurb of like, okay, here's campaign mode where you play all of them in a row and it leads to the greater campaign. But there's also cozy mode where it's like, yeah, either you can just play each of these adventures as a one shot, or you can play all the adventures and then just kind of finish it off with a happy ending there. I love the phrase cozy mode though, especially for a rustic fantasy game.
Yeah, it was really important, and maybe Alejandra can say something about in a minute about the art style and what is the cozy or the dark part of the art style, because that's really interesting. But I'm just going to say about the idea of cozy is that when we created the campaign, we really had both of these goals in mind. We wanted to create adventures. I mean, there is an adventure that's all about delivering mail. So we definitely have that Ghibli vibe that is, you're just kind of going around doing your thing. And if you know Legend in the Mist, you know that the conflict and the game aspect of this is just as exciting when you're delivering mail as when you're in a fight, because it's the same kind of mechanics. So there is that aspect, and then there is that dark. The Dales are not a happy clappy place. Like, there are some dark elements, especially behind the scenes, that are happening there. So you can kind of tweak it and bring to the front what you want and make it cozy or make it very kind of ritualistic and scary. And I think, Alejandro, a lot of your work was kind of threading those two dimensions. No?
Yeah, a little bit. I think one of the things that really helps in visually like presenting those two aspects of the Dales is that very early on in the process, like before we even like announced anything, when we were just planning things out, one of the things we really started to land on was this idea of rustic fantasy, of really trying to get this. The way I ended up viewing it is fantasy that approaches people in their daily lives. This is not like people whose lives are fantastical in like by default, right? It's not like you're this amazing wizard that is always having adventures. You're probably just a little guy who sometimes gets into who lives in like a place with magic and stuff like that. And I think that really helped, because if you really try and build a world where real people might live, there's not going to be just happy things going on in the world, and there's also
Yeah.
not going to be just grimdark things going on in the world. Like, if you think about your classical grimdark worlds, uh, it would suck to live there. Sorry, guys. Like, it would just be not a
Right.
very good experience for the average person. But I think one of the things we really wanted with Legend in the Mist is this idea that you feel the characters a lot closer. At least I ended up feeling much closer to the characters, much closer to their lives, because it's not all happy, it's not all sad, it's not all violent, and it's not all peaceful. But everything you do exists within this world that has magic in it, and thus magic ends up seeping into the cracks of your life in some way or another.
Yeah. Kevin, can we show a little bit of the opening comics for
Sure.
because that's exactly what Alejandra kind of the magic that starts the book.
Let's
Let's
transition
see.
over. Amit, can you start the share? There we go.
Yeah.
All
So
right, all the
yeah.
windows are in the right places. So, Amit, what are we looking at here?
Whoops. Well, I'm just gonna scroll through the opening vibes of the book are the comics that Alejandra created, and it's kind of just picking up with these two people, a girl and her uncle, and they're just, she wants to get out of the dale and go somewhere, and the uncle's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll tell you where to go, but he doesn't even know more than one or two dales out. One of the things that people started sending us feedback, or I don't know if it was internal or on the Discord with the fans, it was like, this thing isn't really adding up like what he's saying, because, and then we were like, he doesn't really know. He doesn't know what's after the next dale and the next dale and the next dale. And then here we start seeing a little bit of that dark vibe. There's a legend about the Winter King, the king of all creatures of Twilight. And, then they're kind of like, but then you don't have to worry about it. And they're joking about fighting the Winter King. And obviously, they know nothing about what they're getting into. And we kind of finish with a little bit of mysterious eyes that you might recognize from another comics in this game line. So yeah, and this is kind of the vibe, right? You just arrive at your character's life, and there are dangerous things, there are fights, there's magic, there are all these things, but there's also, the dangers of day-to-day life, other people, the scariest thing ever, and that kind of stuff when you live in a very small rural place.
I think one thing I really like about these comics and the art style, Alejandra, is that like there's verdant fields, the wheat is golden, the trees are so green, and then there's always like a little bit of storm cloud.
Yeah, I think that's a really conscious choice, and I think that's a thing Amit really nailed into my head when we were like first developing the style for the book. Was like, we cannot have just like burdened pastures where where you get the sense that nothing bad will ever happen, because bad things happening is always a possibility. Otherwise, there wouldn't be like an adventure, right? There wouldn't be an adventure if you felt completely safe all the time ever. And blue skies, open wide ranges of green pastures with little bunny rabbits running around, it's hard to feel unsafe in that place. So a little bit of storm gets the job done.
Totally. By the way, guys, everyone who's watching, if you have questions, if you want to know something, just get right in there, ask it in the comments, let us know what you're interested in, and we will definitely, kind of refer to that as well. And thank you for all the amazing comments that we've already received from everybody. We really appreciate it. We made this game for you, so it's so great to see that you guys are enjoying it.
Actually, speaking of, there is one question. Oh, sorry to interrupt there, Alejandra.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's been awesome. So carry on.
We do have one question I saw earlier in the chat from Zerodin. So are the Cauldron people part of Son of Oak, or are they totally outside the organization? What they were referring to is the Cauldron program on DriveThruRPG, where people can create third-party content for Son of Oak games. And that's for City of Mist, that's for Otherscape, and that's also for Legend in the Mist, which, now that the setting book is out, people have a lot more to draw from for their own adventures that they can create and put on DriveThruRPG.
Right. So let's talk about the Cauldron of Mist. That's a really important thing. So to answer the question, yes, it's not Son of Oak official material. It's material that you can create and put on the Cauldron and sell and make money from selling it. So we really would love for you guys to create more content for the game, expand on it, expand on the Dales, pick a little spot in the Dales, write an adventure, write a character, put it on the Cauldron, because that just makes the game so much more richer for everybody. And people who are missing something that you've created will pick it up and be able to plug it into their game, and it's a lot of fun. We already had a request on the Discord from people to expand so the set of tools that you have right now is creating for Legend in the Mist. People are now asking, we want the set of tools for creating for Hearts of Ravensdale, for example, all kinds of thaumaturgical arts, which we'll talk about later. That's kind of like the advanced magic system. And monsters with secrets and all kinds of things that are kind of unique to Hearts of Ravensdale. And we're definitely going to do that and expand the set of tools for the Cauldron so you can create content specifically for this setting. And you don't have to worry about using this setting in your creations, because as long as you do it within the Cauldron, you can use whatever you want from the Son of Oak content. You got to look and read the user agreement and all that. That's where all the details are. But you do have access to kind of like expanding on existing materials. So yeah, go ahead and do that. We would love to see your take on what's happening in the Dales.
And there will be other settings coming to Legend in the Mist as well, though, I mean, I'm not sure if you want to be talking about that just yet on this stream.
Oh, yeah, no, we can definitely mention two of them that have been made public. There are others. So Zamanora is the a Kickstarter that already happened for a Balkan-inspired Legend in the Mist content. And next week on the 24th, these are third-party companies that are licensing Legend in the Mist. So Zamanora is licensed by the amazing Aaron Chronicles, and Old Oak Games, who isn't Son of Oak Games, but are very similar, have licensed Legend in the Mist for Beyond the Woods, which is an Irish mythology themed and a little more adventure tier, a little more hex scrawl kind of style, using Legend in the Mist. So that's going to be really cool. You should really check it out next week. If you like what you see in Hearts of Ravensdale, you're going to get a lot more with Beyond the Woods. Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking awesome.
Yeah,
I
mean, and there's more coming, but there's some stuff I can't talk about yet. So we'll announce it when the time comes. Right now, we already have 2 books that are on the way with some really great Legend in the Mist content.
And by the way, we may have some streams talking about some of those settings. We are planning on having another stream next week to talk about the Beyond the Woods Legend in the Mist Kickstarter. So if you would like to see that and want to be notified about when the stream comes out, subscribe to the channel. You can also go to the Son of Oak Discord as well, as we post notifications of what Son of Oak is doing, including these streams. You can find a link to the Discord in the description of the video. So, Amit, what else is in this book?
What else is in this book? So as you can see, I'm in the introduction section, which kind of gives you a general vibe of what's happening in this book. But specifically, there are 3 sections to the book. The first one, called Hill and Valley, is just a setting guide for the players. This is the spoiler-free area of the book. You can read it if you're a player and you really want to get into the adventure, the campaign. You can read it and discover a lot about the different Dales, the different traditions there, places. I'm just going to kind of briefly go over it and talk about it. This is
okay. Wait. Can we pause on this art really quick, because I love this art especially.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, the moment that we pause, Alejandra has to step away for just a moment.
1 second.
Well, tell us what you like about it.
I accidentally unplugged my light, so here we are. Okay. Hi.
But I still want to hear what Kevin likes about it, so we can then he can tell Alejandro what's all the secrets behind it.
Well, I think it's just another piece of art that kind of sums up the feeling of Legend in the Mist. Like on the left, you have in the shadows a very peasant-looking person. Like they're not like a seasoned adventurer. They have like a sword, maybe. And then as they're walking through this forest, suddenly the sunlight beams down on what could be a statue, what could be a tree carving, what could be some sort of magical creature. There's just an immediate mystery going on in this environmental art that mixes darkness and light.
Oh, it's really cool. Like, thank you for describing it that way. Like, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something cool that I'm describing.
Thank you. So yeah, this piece, we really spend a lot of time thinking and talking things through about these kinds of illustrations, because it's really fun for me, and it's also really important for the setting. And in this case, I really enjoyed the idea of like really trying to represent a creature that you might encounter in this world that is not necessarily like a classical monster or like a beast that lives in the haunted forest, but more like a weird thing that you found walking around because you probably shouldn't have gone that way off the path. So yeah, I really enjoy this. Like it's one of my favorites as well. It's I think it's one where we were really getting into the idea of what the Dales were like and what this world, the darkness and the lightness of the world, what they looked like in the visual sense. And so these kinds of illustrations where it's like, I'm just gonna illustrate some weird stuff, that's really fun to me.
Yeah, I remember working on this. So originally we were thinking, I mean, this is the Dales. It's like the still kind of not spoilery player facing side of the book. I'm going to teleport to the third, and we were thinking of using this beautiful art, which we use for Wake of the Old Ways, because Wake of the Old Ways actually has a scene of a race on goats. So we ended up using it for the campaign, but we were thinking of using this. This looks like a nice opening for the Dales, but because it's so early in the book, we talked about it and we were like, no, we really need something that encapsulates. And you said it, Kevin. I mean, it really encapsulates the whole genre of um, Hearts of Ravensdale, and it is a legend in the mist. So I remember, Alejandro, we talked a lot about how are we going to make this feel like a legend, not
Yeah.
like high fantasy. We're firing laser beams out of our eyes, but we still want it to feel magical. But more like really kind of fairy tale, cautionary tale, legend, mystery. I stumble upon something in the forest, like Alejandro said, because I stepped out of bounds, and I just love this art. This is just like everything in one piece. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Speaking, oh,
I think it's also. Oh, sorry. I just
no,
wanted to add on to what Amit was saying about us trying to get this feeling of the legend, because I think it's very important. I think it's a very clear distinction that really helps. At least it helps me in creating a lot of the art and a lot of the designs and stuff like that. Because I think we often measure fantasy in terms of high fantasy and low fantasy, and low fantasy is very scientific, and very high fantasy is very like this, even like if it's still kind of scientific and technological and stuff like that, like really flashy. And it's not that we wanted to necessarily say that none of these things will ever exist in Legend in the Book, in the Mist story, but it's more like when we focus on like rustic fantasy and stuff like that, it's more of like a lateral move. It's not like it's trying to show this different vibe of fantasy that is very much like an old legend. And I remember back when we were, especially, I think when we were designing some of the like parchment illustrations that ended up going for the core book, and they are still in here, and some areas of the book which have a very different style. I remember, I don't know if, I mean, if you remember this, but I was like going through old fairy tale books and going through like
Yeah.
Russian art, like sorry, not Russian. Yeah, no, there was some Russian authors, some Ukrainian authors, some like Eastern, generally Eastern European, some medieval European, like Central, and a lot of really different takes on what fantasy looked like to a person who believes they live in a fantasy world, and that is something that
That's a
that we
great
really
way
want
of putting it.
yeah.
I really
That is
like
a great
you
way of
talking
putting
about your
it.
inspiration of like child's fairy tale books as well. There's a later section in this book because this campaign setting is often about like magic leaking into this mundane society, and because of lost knowledge, you don't exactly know what this magic is about or what this creature is about. For the GMs running adventures in Hearts of Ravensdale, there is a whole section of the book of like, okay, here's what's going on in the world. Here's the whole like background. How's the magic work? And the art in that section of the book is very like fairy tale-esque, very like, here's the grand legend of everything going on in the background that we
Yeah.
unfortunately cannot show on this stream as it is
So,
extreme spoilers.
Yeah, it's
But
so
there's a
sad.
spoiler.
if you want to
There's
see
a
that art, check out this book. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
spoiler stream. Yeah, I want to talk about this, but there's one thing I got to stop everything. We have a celebrity in the room. We have a huge celebrity in the room. You don't realize how big. We have otter poet Jason Fryer, who basically wrote a lot of what you're seeing here. He wrote most of chapter 1. He wrote some of the adventure material. Jason, hey, how's it going? Otter
Hi,
poet.
Jason.
Yeah, good to have you here. We should
Love your
probably have
work.
you on a stream next time we're doing it, but we're planning a lot of streams going forward, so that's going to be definitely in the cards. But yeah, so what you said, Kevin, kind of brings us back to the 3 chapters. We have Hill and Valley, which has a lot of the setting information that's available to players. It also has a ton of player material. So I think I'm blanking on the exact number, but maybe 120 theme kits, 30 tropes, new rules for cooking and crafting, which we're going to talk about because we have to talk about that separately. The whole old ways magic system. There is a ton there. When you go into the next episode, Past the Bounds, which I'm going to show now, I'm not going to show anything in the episode. I'm just going to show the cover. Whoops, flashed it.
There we go.
You're going to see a little. I love this art too. This is like the other side. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, there's some creepy things with like a crow with a face. Somebody said it's a very kind of very From Software kind of thing.
I
Very,
was about to
Elden
say that's a
Ring-y.
Dark Souls boss right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love this character. So anyway, when you arrive at this one, Past the Bounds, the world beyond the Dales, both in the invisible side of the Dales and outside of the Dales, you're going to see this little thing saying, heroes read no further, because this whole chapter really reveals the entire cosmology of the universe of Hearts of Ravensdale, which in the very beginning of the chapter, we tell you, the narrator, to keep to yourself. And this is probably a little bit of a high, a tall order, but
It's worth it.
It's what?
It's worth it, I said.
But it's worth it. And the
So
reason
good.
that we say that is that we want your players to have the sense of mystery of a person who believes they live in a fantasy world, like Alejandra put it so well, and that really you knowing everything and they know so little, but then we'll get to the point where we show you how they reveal everything, right? We have lists of revelations that you can reveal. That's a big part of the what I'm so proud that we've created together. It's really going to take you through that experience, that magical legend experience. It's not just kind of leaving you on your own to create it. It's walking you through every step of the way. So this is a part that I'm super excited about people discovering for themselves now, the players.
I will say, as a GM, first off, I've read a lot of products. I'm not going to specifically name any, but are like, here's a bunch of rumors that are in this land and like quest ties. I'm like, okay, cool. That sounds interesting. What's like the answer behind them? Figure it out yourself. And with Hearts of Ravensdale, it's very interesting looking at the rumors that are in some of the different towns within the Dales. And then going into that next chapter, there are bullet points of like, hey, remember those rumors we mentioned earlier? Here's what's really going on. And I will say that as a GM, reading through like, okay, here's the what's really going on section of this book does not make the world less magical. In fact, it just makes me more enthusiastic about running adventures in Legend of the Mist and creating my own adventures in Legend of the Mist because I have that framework to work off of.
Yeah, I mean, originally we didn't know if we were going to do it, but then I was I said, hey, we gotta tell people what's going on. There's so much going on behind the scenes. We really need to, because every one of these places. So, for example, Highglade, which is a kind of a more fancy, high society, rich ranchers kind of dale, compared to other dales that have different characteristics. Each one of these has a little rumors and tales with a couple of things, story seeds that your players can hear about. So it's okay that they're reading them. But like you said, Kevin, in another part of the book, in the second chapter, we tell you what's exactly behind those rumors and which creatures you can use in order to play through whatever your players are exploring. Yeah. So this is the fun that we've had with this, and this is kind of like why it took a little longer than we thought it would, because we really put in all the details about what's happening behind the curtain, behind the veil.
Yeah, I think also one of the, sorry to keep interrupting you. I was just gonna say that I think one of the things that really made me excited about going into specifically the setting book for Laying the Mist, Hearts of Ravensdale, is that we've been talking about this setting basically since I met Amit. Every time we meet, it's about this world and what's going on, and then like to have all this lore in your head and then be like, no one's gonna know about it ever. It's like it's really heartbreaking. So being able to just put it in the page and be like, yes, this is stuff that's going on. It's cool. It's really cool for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the setting actually was created a long time ago. I mean, if I think about it, started as classes for children.
Ooh.
It was supposed to be a kind of a legend for children. So it's a setting that I originally created for these classes, RPG classes I ran for children. I don't know, like 10 years before City of Mist, so or 5 years before City of Mist. So we're talking about 15 years ago, which is quite a while when I say it out loud. But yeah, it's there's a lot of lore that we poured into it, so you can swim in this, right? You can get lost in it. There's so many little things for you to explore and discover.
So,
We want to talk
quick,
about. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
actually, an important question that I just saw in the chat from Mauricio Ermel. If I'm playing solo, should I read this part or not? We're referring, I think, to like the greater setting details.
Yeah, I would say no. So first things first. This whole book is designed side by side as when it's being designed for a group play. This whole book is designed for solo and co-op play, and we have put everything that is not for solo players to read behind a little torch that signals that. And all of the adventures have sections that you can't read initially, but also they tell you when to read those sections once you've discovered this in the adventure. Um, some of the things you're going to have to read that are in chapter 2. For example, all of the challenge profiles are in chapter 2. So if you're fighting a creature, you're going to have to go to that chapter and read those profiles. However, even in the challenge profiles, we've taken out the secret stuff and put it in a little secrets category that you don't read until your hero discovers about that little detail. This is a new thing. We didn't have it in Legend in the Mist, but we really felt that the whole idea of challenges here is that they're layered. The Creatures of Twilight. First of all, Creatures of Twilight, it's just a term that Dalish, it's like yokai, right? It's like general term for weird stuff that the Dalish call everything. They call human wizards, they call them Creatures of Twilight. They call, celestial emissaries or earthbound spirits. They call everything enchantments. They don't know the difference. It's all like something from the Twilight. So as you're doing that, you're you're kind of you're kind of groping in the dark. You don't know exactly what's happening. Now those secrets also have a gameplay element, because sometimes some of the secrets can open up new limits. If you know our game, then you defeat You defeat challenges in different ways through use of limits. So these things can actually unlock new limits because you just discovered that this creature was in love with another spirit. And if you show them a token of that spirit, that's a whole different way of overcoming this creature without a fight. So there's a lot of secrets that you will be able to read inside of the challenges without any, it's all separated and you have full support for your solo. I wouldn't read the part of chapter 2 that just kind of reveals everything, because you're going to have fun finding out on your own later. You guys want to talk about character creation? Do we have other questions? Let's see.
I think just one last bit to talk about. Grajan8658 points out, I was so pleased to see the adventure material was all set up so it can be used for solo. It tells you by icons what to skip for now and when to look at it. So yes, if you want to run the adventures in Hearts and Ravensdale, Book 1, The Dales, there are the little torch icons that tell you, like, hey, if you're playing this solo, here's the bit that reveals more about the world. So heads up on that. Or I believe it's like the crow symbol that shows more of like the role playing, more like lore stuff as well. So I thought that was very interesting. That it's not only group play but also the solo play that is kept in mind with the adventures as written. So with that said, we've been on this screen for a little bit. Amit, please tell us more about character creation.
Yeah, so we just have really cool characters. So if in Legend in the Mist we had to show the breadth of the characters that you can create, from origin through adventure to greatness, and we showed all types of characters. Here we went, since this is the first book and this is the origin book, here we went really all the way with the origin level characters. So we have simple folk. You can play a woodcutter. You can play a goat herd. You can play just a wayward child that's just running around and they found a magical place or didn't find a magical place. You can play really real and kind of close to the ground characters.
Wait, before you scroll away, Amit, real quick, I just want to say the art on the left, first off, a great character arc. That is Gorna and Truffles, a chef that rides around on their pig Truffles.
I love it.
I have run several one-shots in Legend of Mist using the pre-gen characters. Every time someone picks Gorna and Truffles, they see Gorna and Truffles and they're immediately like, that's mine.
Of course.
What's not to love about it?
What's not to love about it, right?
Yeah.
Gorna and Truffles, first of all, many of these characters were created by Kendo Wilson, who's a part of our dev team. And they've got a real talent for character creation. It's really amazing. Just like the concepting of characters, they're very good at it. And specifically, Kendo created Gorna and Truffles for the Kickstarter, so backers would remember it. They were like, "Yeah, we want this!" Like all the backers were voting for it to be one of the characters. There was no way we weren't going to make this character. And I'm going to show you some character sheets, like pre-gen character sheets, in a second. But yeah, it's so compelling, and your art, Alejandra, just brought these characters to life. So what can you do? One is completely disarmed by this beauty. So we're just going to dive right in.
Kendo has an incredible talent for creating characters. Like every time I get a description of theirs, like, it's really amazing. And I remember being a little nervous about drawing Gorna and Truffles because it's like, people have had canons about this, so I need to really deliver on this piece.
I think he totally did. Yeah, so we also have, it kind of starts ramping up. In the beginning of the book, we talked about types of characters that you can see in the setting. So you have types of places that you can see, but we also talk a little bit about the distinction between, a little bit more zooming into what's happening in the Dale. You have the people that are living in the village. You have farmsteaders who are living not right in the village, but across the Dale in little homes. And they have a different lifestyle. You have outlanders like hunters and foragers who just go into the woods and then come back to their home. You have wayfarers, who are people who are on the roads, right? They're not just like out in the bush or in the forest. They are traveling on the roads like peddlers. And you have recluses, just people that are in the bush, but they don't go back to the dales. They don't go back into a village or into a home. They just live there, on the mountain, in the swamp, and so on and so forth. So these things are then later reflected in the character creation section, where you can create all of these different types of characters. You have, of course, a few people that do kind of bear arms in the Dales, the Red Marshals, the Woodwards, people who are specifically defending certain areas or aspects of Dalish life. You have the Wayfarers, people on the road, like a peddler, a pilgrim, or a poacher. You have the Outlanders, people who are out in the bush, as we say, and the Recluses. Here we have some creations of Jason Friars that are just amazing. Like the Curse Eaters is just one of the best things ever. These people, they practice one form of magic, which is to take a curse, put it in food, and then eat it and make the curse go away. And of course, that costs them with this kind of poisoning. But they're, in a way, they're kind of the lepers of this setting or of this region. They're kind of scary. People are scared of them, but they respect them, but they pity them. And there is also a challenge version of what happens to you when you meet one, but you can also play one.
Yeah, curse eaters are lepers if lepers became lepers through eating leprosy, and also continually chose to do that to keep the leprosy from spreading.
There's something more. There's something definitely like specifically very honorable in a way, or selfless, I guess, in being a curse eater for sure. Strangers, you can play people from outside of the Dales that got into the Dales, and of course, Old Ways practitioners. Another beautiful creation of Jason's is the Bone Tenders, which I think is such a cool, like undead monster ranger that goes into barrows and sings a lullaby to lay the dead to rest, which I just think is just incredible.
Yeah, again, love your work, Jason. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for all these beautiful creations. And then, of course, you have tons and tons and tons of theme kits. So if you don't know what to play, you just pick one of those beautiful tropes that you have here. It's a recipe with 4 theme kits. 3 are set, and you pick one. And then you go and you pick out of those theme kits, you pick a couple of tags, and you're done. And you have it in 5 minutes. You can create a beautiful Hearts of Ravensdale character. You also get a lot of specials in here, which is something that we do specifically in setting books. Each one of these has its own unique special. So you also have the special from the theme book, but you get like a 6th option to choose when you create a character based on that. And then we get to what I really want to talk about, which is the cooking recipes.
So real quick, we did have a question earlier in the chat. Were any of these recipes tried in real life? You can see that there is a blurb directly under the heading of the page. The recipes in this book are only for game purposes. Do not try them at home.
Anyone who cooks would know that it takes a little more than 3 tags to put together a meal. So this is only for game purposes. Yes, in theory, one could, very much in theory, don't try it at home. One could put together these 3 elements and a lot of other things in order to create what you want to create. But I do really suggest that if you want to cook something like that, just take these words, throw it into your favorite Google or whatever, get your recipe, and try that like a real world recipe. Having said that, we felt that without making things, and maybe Alejandra, you can say that because that was a part of the world building, without making, cooking, and crafting, this setting wouldn't really be complete.
Yeah, I think I remember. I think I've said this before, but there was a time when we were just starting to really develop Legend in the Mist as this project that was going to go out to people, and one of the things that we did was just get together. Amit, Kendo, and I would get together and just start just talking about the Dales and the life of people in the Dales and how these kinds of aspects of this, like okay.
Oops, sorry, now I broke it. Sorry, go ahead.
Not a word.
All right, we're good.
So yeah, So yeah, just this. I remember talking about like the daily life of people in the Dales, and just like how how that life translated into actual things that they would use, because it was very important. It has been really important for the art, at least on my side, to know what people use, what they wear, how they use it, where they are, and stuff like that, so that we know, all these little details and facts about their life that helps us bring them to life. So a lot of these recipes really remind me of those meetings, of just getting together and being like, okay, so goat cheese, where is it made? What do people think about it? And just going off after that.
Yeah, there are a lot of Dales that are really into their food, especially Millcrest,
Yes.
which is this kind of mountain. It's not a Dale; it's actually the one place that is just on a mountain, and it gives like alpine vibes.
Hmm.
Especially Millcrest is very into their foods, and we just wanted to create that universe, that the detail that the Dalish are into. That's what they're doing. Now, the coolest thing I think about this is a system that was designed by a number of us, but was originally drafted by Kendo. Um, the cool thing about it is that this has real gameplay implications. If you're a character that can, like Gorna and Truffles, that can craft food, you could actually impart effects on your party. You can, and they're not always just, invigorated. Sometimes you can make them feel comforted. Sometimes you can make them feel grounded. Sometimes you can give them something stimulating to make them alert. So it's a build. It's a totally kind of like aspect of character that you can create. And of course, crafting, we all know how you can affect that by creating stuff for your interesting stuff. The
I
cool thing
love
is
that you
they're
describe
also,
it as a character build, because there are a number of people I know personally who, as soon as the preview for the Legend of the Mist cooking recipes came out, I sent it over to them and I was like, "Look, this is what you've wanted to do," and they're like, "Oh, we gotta check this out."
it's a total
Yeah.
character build. Look at this character. This guy's like completely, whoops. He's completely, look at his actions.
Again,
What do
every
you have
one
here?
shot, someone picks up Gorna and Truffles. It's hilarious. I
Yeah,
love it.
this is the thing that I love the most about the flexibility of the engine. It's not just, different ways to do combat. It's different ways to do completely different ways. So we have this guy that has actions like prepare a meal, entice someone with a meal, and so on and so forth. And that is totally a build. It's totally a thing. And then we have someone like Sandel, who is a cairn maker and has you know tower defense vibes, because she can set up shrines that radiate a certain status, so they can push off enemies, they can heal people, they can do different things, but they're immobile. So what
I
is
had never
that?
thought about Cyandel as a tower defense kind of. But yes,
It's
you're
a
right.
tower
That's
defense
what she
guy for
is.
sure.
So, Meat, real quick, what
Yeah,
product are we looking at right now?
this is the character pack. This is the digital version of the character pack. So of course, the character pack printed is going to be vertical, but we created a screen sized character sheet that's really handy for a screen. When you get the character pack, which came out today together with Hearts of Ravensdale, when you get it, you also get a printer friendly version of it. So this is not the printer friendly version. That one is suited for obviously printing. But yeah, these are just 20 really cool pre-made characters. Um, most of them origin level, but we also touch a little bit on adventure level, because in chapter 2 you have additional player options that allow you to play creatures of twilight or uncanny beings or people of power. So yeah, these characters are kind of from another level, but all of these characters that I'm scrolling through now are here. We have the bone tender, we have Kodo, who's this kind of a brigand, they're basically
Very
a
Han
bandit.
Solo kind of character.
Very Han Solo. We have we have Kelvis, who's like the blacksmith, the village blacksmith. We have Jane, who's really from another place, but she's created a whole armor for herself, a new identity, a new life. We have Higgins, who's fighting with two shields somehow, and so on. So you have some characters that are obviously more traditional fantasy stuff, and then you have characters like Bumbler, who's a drunken fool build. If you want to get back into the builds, and she has a whole theme called Walking Disaster, where she just causes disasters to other people around her, hopefully her enemies. So, there's so much fun that you can have. And these are just the pre-gens, right? We're going back to the character creation. There's so much fun that you can have with it.
I love Bumbler's art, by the way. She's so great. She radiates kindness.
Yeah, I really love all of the characters. I think as one of the things that I really enjoy about the system, and I really love that I mean you're describing it as builds and stuff like this, because a lot of times people presume that because this is a very narrative system, and because the skills of your characters are not just combat or not numerical, that it means you cannot have a build, or you can have a kind of character that does stuff in very specific ways. And as you have described here, that's simply not the case. We have very specialized, like if you can have a tower defense character, which I will not let go of, if you can have that tower defense character, you can have anything. But one of the things I really enjoy about it is that even once you get these very specialized builds that are very fun to play, like even if you like just think about it in terms of actually just acting as a character in an encounter during a game, they're really fun to play. But when I received these, like their tags and their descriptions and stuff like that as an artist, it was really evident that you do not have to let go of any narrative potential of the system for you to have these really amazing actions, and that narrative potential is then really easy to translate into well, in my case, into like an image, an illustration that I can do for y'all. But it's also really easy for a player to imagine their character, and not only how they look, but how they behave, and even how they speak, because their personality is literally a part of their character sheet. So it's really fun.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that everybody, on the team worked together really well to put together this, these character sheets that kind of just pop off the sheet. You just read Walking Disaster, Beekeeper, Meadows Meadery, Village Fool. Okay, I get a picture of who this character is. You have this beautiful art that just gives me really clear vibes, and the details and the rusticness of the art, I think, is fantastic. And we've worked a lot to really nail that vibe with all of these characters, and I think that you guys are really going to have a lot of fun bringing those characters to the table.
I mean, I also just appreciate that the pre-gen characters have a little how to play blurb as well, which is phenomenal, especially when, like me, you're running a lot of one-shots and conventions, and getting people up to speed with Legend in the Mist real quick. It's like, all right, here's a character, here's everything they're about, and also here's the paragraphs of like the bare bones stuff you need to know about the system.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had this. This was from day one. Our accessibility is a thing, right? We want everybody to play these games. We don't want just people who are able to parse a lot of information. We want everybody to be able to play these games. I personally played it with people as young as 5 and as old as 75. So I've from all kinds of walks of life, people who've never played it before, because that's the idea. It's just words, and you can jump right into it. And having a how to play section is a part of it. It's like a person that just kind of forgot what we're talking about or wasn't listening. They can just look at it once and know how to make a roll, which is really, we only have one type of roll in this game, so that's it. You know the game.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's definitely a part of the idea.
So we're coming up near the top of the hour. So I want to open up the stream to general questions. If you have any questions to ask us about Hearts of Ravensdale, about the artistic process, about Legend in the Mist in general, feel free to throw those into the chat, and we'll see about answering as many as we can. But in the meantime, Amit, is there any last bit you want to show off before we get some questions?
Wow, I mean, there's so much we can cover, but we're going to
There-
cover it in other streams, hopefully in the future. The old ways is a really big thing, a really big part of the Dales. It's really the folk magic of this region, and it's divided into many different types of little magics. And inside of each type, there are even other types of that or subtypes of that. So we have artisanal magic, which can include creating charms or stitching or creating puppets. We have folk magic, which is more of kind of like people who have the sight and are able to see maybe spirits or other creatures and understand what's really going on. In general, talking about builds, the character that knows what's really going on is a really important build in this game because they're the people who are going to be able to access those secrets that we talked about earlier that monsters have. So it's when we were creating that, I really wanted to give it a Witcher kind of feeling where if you know your monster, then you know how to fight it. But if you don't, you're really, or if you misidentified your monster, then you're really screwed. And that's kind of the feeling that we wanted to have.
So one
Yeah,
question
go
we
ahead.
got from user Cats and Jam, can we see truffles again, please?
Of course.
People love truffles. I also saw some questions earlier in the chat. People were asking if Legend in the Mist would consider a cookbook side project, like actual cooking recipes based off the ones in Legend in the Mist, with of course
That
the
would be
gorgeous art of
fun.
Alejandra.
That would be a lot of fun. We
I
should
mean,
do
that would
that.
be really awesome.
We
Yeah, for
also
sure.
We also have a question from Urian00. Have you in mind to publish an art book for Legend in the Mist? And that's the first question. There's another question I'll ask after that one.
You know, I think we're kind of tired, Alejandro. we had like pretty much 2 years back to back
Yeah,
of releasing 2 huge books with a lot of art. So I think we definitely should do an art book. I just don't know if we're going to start it tomorrow morning.
I think that's the thing. It's like Hearts of Ravensdale is the art book. You know, it's like here's the book, here's all the art. Check it out.
That's true. That's true.
yeah. I
Um,
think it's one of the advantages of just how much we have worked together as a team is that if you go through both the core book and the setting book, you also see a lot of the development of the art of the book because we were creating these pieces as we were working on the book and as we were like developing the system and the game and stuff like that. So it like I would love to do an art book, but if you want a lot of art, it's in a book.
No, I always think that our books, even for City of Mist, the original one and the stuff that we made later, it would be so cool to just delve purely into the artistic process. But
Yes.
yeah, we got to find the time for it. We got so much going on.
Another question from Urian00. Will Legend in the Mist have support for virtual tabletops?
Well, let me tell you, it already has support for virtual tabletops. We just released today support for Roll20 and support for Foundry. And we're going, yeah. So best possible answer, I guess. There's support coming for it for Alchemy VGT, and we're going to add more and more books and modules and things like that. But right now, you can already download the official sheet for Foundry and for Roll20. Well, you don't have to download it for Roll20 and just start playing. Speaking of start playing, there is also an event that starts today and through the weekend on Start Playing Games, which I'm going to dig up the. Actually, if you go to Discord, I shared the link for it, where you can play Hearts of Ravensdale with professional GMs. So if you guys have some time, you want to try it out, you can mosey on there and enjoy a session.
All right.
I think that's the perfect answer to that question. Not
So yeah,
only is
so
it going to, it already has. So
I love it when we do that.
yes.
Usually it's
yes.
like, no, in 3 years we might get there, but in this case, no, we had it ready.
Well, this has been so much fun going over this book. Honestly, I still have some bits to read of Hearts of Ravensdale, actually. I was reading a bunch of it before this stream, and then I looked up and like, oh, I have to go live and talk about this book that I want to continue reading. So that's what I'm going to do after this. Um, but before I get back to reading more of Hearts of Ravensdale, first off, I just want to say thank you, Amit, and thank you, Alejandra, for coming on the stream to talk to all the people about this book. And thank
Thank you,
you
Kevin.
all in the audience for coming to the stream, coming to the Son of Oak channel, and giving us an excuse to geek out about this book that we love so dearly. We are so happy that there are other people who are just as passionate about Legend of the Mist, about the setting that's bringing about the gorgeous, gorgeous art that's all throughout the book, and also people passionate about a hypothetical cookbook in the future. Eh. But for now,
Let's do
what
it.
is existing in reality is Hearts of Ravensdale, Book One, The Dales, which you can find on DriveThruRPG. You can also find on the Son of Oak website. There is a description for that there is a link to that in the description of this video. There's also a link to the Son of Oak Discord where you can meet and talk with other people who are also passionate about Legend of the Mist, as well as other Son of Oak products like City of Mist and Otherscape. Amit, did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered everything. Awesome.
Phenomenal. We
Thank
will
you.
have other streams on this channel. Our next stream, we will be talking about the Beyond the Woods for Legend in the Mist Kickstarter, which is another setting that will be compatible with Legend in the Mist, created by, I want to get the exact, Old Oak Games?
Yes.
Yes. So if you want to hear about that, check out the Discord, subscribe to this channel so that we can get notified for that stream when we go live. Honestly, though, for all the people who have seen the art on this stream and you want to learn more about the setting and you just want to like look at the art and just like pour over it, check out the book. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And also the Legend of the Mist core book, because that's where the main rules and how to play the game is.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna be a little bit confused if you only read the
You
second
just get that
book.
one.
It's
Yeah.
going
that
to
one
be.
I mean, you could just pick the setting book if you
I mean,
just wanted
yeah,
to read about the world and look at the art. That is also perfectly fine.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'd love it either way. It's really it's just really great to see the response of the community to this release, and we're very excited to share it with you.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see all the work we put over the past, like, I don't know, like 3-4 years already, just like really be received with such open arms and such like love and appreciation. It's just amazing.
Absolutely.
With that, hope to see you all again for the next stream. And until then, have fun.